For most creatures, motherhood is about survival. But for a female octopus, laying eggs triggers a hidden biological countdown, and she begins to waste away, starving herself as she obsessively guards her clutch. This is not caused by predators. It is her own brain turning against her, unleashing a self-destruct sequence so brutal that scientists once wondered if it was a freak accident of nature. Why would evolution program the ocean's most devoted mother for such a horrific end? And what secret drives her body to sacrifice everything for a single brood? To understand how an octopus's legacy is built on a cycle of love, loss, and programmed death, you have to look at how little time she has and what she does with it. An octopus's life is measured in months, not decades. For most species, the clock starts ticking at birth and rarely makes it past the 2-year mark. The common octopus, Octopus vulgaris, usually lives just 1 to 2 years. Even the giant Pacific octopus, one of the largest and most studied, can stretch its life only to about 4 or 5 years at best. There are no long retirements in the world of octopuses. Adulthood is a brief window, and every day counts. This compressed timeline shapes every decision. From the moment she hatches, a female octopus is on a one-way track. She grows fast, hunts with skill, and spends her days learning the currents and shadows of her world. But from the beginning, her fate is set. She will have just one chance to pass on her genes. Octopuses are what scientists call semilparous, animals that reproduce only once in their lifetime. All the energy she gathers, every lesson learned, leads to a single final act. When maturity arrives, the pressure is relentless. There is no second attempt, no do-over in the next season. The ocean is full of predators and shifting dangers, and survival is never guaranteed. For the octopus, the only way to leave a mark is to pour everything into that one massive brood. Some species lay tens of thousands of eggs in a single effort. Others, like the deep-sea Granelodon boreopacifica, invest years into a single clutch, brooding them through freezing darkness and constant hunger. This is not a life built for longevity, it is a life built for intensity, a sprint from birth to reproduction with no slow fade. The female's entire future is compressed into a narrow window, and once she lays her eggs, the countdown accelerates. Every hour after is borrowed time, as her body and brain prepare for the final, irreversible sacrifice. The final act begins with a search. After mating, the female octopus slips into the shadows, scanning the sea floor for a safe haven. She chooses her den with care, an abandoned shell, a rocky crevice, or a hollow under a ledge. This spot will become both nursery and tomb. Inside, she anchors herself and begins an extraordinary labor. One by one, she produces eggs, hundreds, thousands, sometimes as many as 80,000 in a single clutch. Each egg is a tiny, translucent capsule, barely the size of a grain of rice. Using the tip of her arm, she arranges them into shimmering strands, attaching each one to the roof and walls of her den with a delicate thread of mucus. The process can take hours or even days, as she works methodically, looping and weaving, never rushing. The result is a living tapestry, curtains of eggs swaying gently in the current, each one perfectly spaced to allow water to flow between them. She inspects her work constantly, shifting a strand here, cleaning a cluster there, ensuring that every egg is positioned for maximum oxygen and protection. The den transforms into a fortress, its entrance narrowed with stones and shells to block intruders. Her body forms a living barricade, arms curled around the mass of eggs, eyes always vigilant. From this moment forward, the outside world fades. She no longer hunts or explores. Every movement is for the eggs, stroking them, fanning them with jets of water, removing debris or fungus with the precision of a surgeon. The commitment is total. Each egg represents a chance at survival in an ocean where almost none will make it. The mother's artistry is not just in the number she produces, but in the care and order she brings to their fragile beginnings. With the clutch complete and the den secured, she settles in for the long vigil, unaware that her own body has already started the countdown toward its own undoing. Day after day, the octopus mother settles deeper into her vigil. The den grows silent except for the gentle, rhythmic fanning of her arms. She draws water over the eggs, keeping them bathed in oxygen and free from silt. Each egg is cleaned, stroked, and checked for fungus or debris. Her suckers move with careful precision, never missing a strand. Even as her body starts to thin, she remains alert to every threat. A crab or fish that strays too close is met with a sudden lash of an arm, but she never leaves her post to hunt. The outside world is now a distant memory. The sacrifice begins with a simple refusal. She stops eating. Not just for a day or two, but for as long as it takes, weeks, sometimes months. In shallow water species, this fast may last up to a month. In the deep sea, mothers like Granelodon bora pacifica have been observed enduring more than 4 years without a single meal. All her energy is diverted to the eggs. Muscle and fat are quietly consumed from within, fueling the constant care. The routine is relentless. She cleans away algae, gently turns the eggs, and directs fresh currents through the den. The smallest imperfection, a speck of dirt or a trace of fungus, is swiftly removed. Her arms never truly rest. The eggs must be kept in motion, suspended in the flow, or they risk suffocating. Every action is a defense against the invisible dangers of the ocean, bacteria, parasites, and low oxygen. The mother's world shrinks to the size of her den, a fortress built from her own body and willpower. As the days pass, her skin grows dull and her eyes lose their brightness. Still, she refuses food, even when prey brushes past her suckers. The choice is absolute. Every ounce of strength is spent on the next generation. For the octopus mother, the vigil is both a duty and a sentence, one that will not end until her eggs are ready to face the ocean alone. Starvation is only the beginning. As the weeks pass, the octopus mother's decline grows impossible to ignore. Her skin, once vibrant and shifting with color, turns dull and mottled. Eyes that scanned every shadow now sink into her head, ringed by pale, bruised tissue. Muscles waste away, leaving her arms thin and weak. But the most disturbing changes are not just physical, they are behavioral, and they unfold with a kind of dreadful choreography. Caretakers in public aquariums have watched this unraveling up close. Logs describe mothers growing restless, abandoning their eggs for brief, confused wanderings before returning as if lost in their own home. Some circle the den in tight, repetitive patterns. Others become fixated on their own bodies, obsessively grooming until the act turns violent. Reports from aquarists are blunt, mothers biting at their own arms, tearing skin from their suckers, leaving raw wounds that will never heal. A staff member wrote that her arms were bloodied and that interfering felt like robbing her of her final act. This is not random madness. It is a pattern, so consistent across species and settings that scientists have given it a name: senescence, the programmed end of life. In the wild, these behaviors are rarely seen, hidden by the darkness of a den or the vastness of the ocean. But in captivity, with glass walls and constant observation, the full extent of the mother's suffering is laid bare. She lashes out at imaginary threats, ignores real ones, and sometimes seems unaware of her own injuries. The arms that once guarded eggs with surgical care now twist and writhe, sometimes turning against herself. To outsiders, it looks like a mind and body in freefall, a living creature dissolving before the eyes of those who have come to care for her. No predator inflicts these wounds. The enemy is within, written into her biology. Something inside has triggered this spiral, pushing her past hunger and exhaustion into a state of confusion and self-harm. The question that haunts both scientists and caretakers is simple. What force could drive such a complete, merciless collapse? The answer lies deep inside the octopus's head, in a tiny organ that holds the key to her fate. Inside the octopus's head, just above the eyes, sits a tiny organ with outsized power, the optic gland. For decades, its purpose was a mystery. Then, in the 1970s, biologist Jerome Wodinsky made a discovery that stunned his peers. In a series of careful experiments, Wodinsky surgically removed the optic gland from female octopuses tending their eggs. The results were immediate and dramatic. Mothers that should have wasted away instead abandoned their clutches, started eating again, regained strength, and sometimes even mated a second time. Lifespans stretched from mere weeks to several months. For the first time, it was clear that death was not an accident or simple exhaustion. It was triggered by a specific biological signal. Modern research has pulled back the curtain on how this gland works. After the eggs are laid, the optic gland begins to rewire the mother's biochemistry. Genes inside the gland ramp up production of enzymes that transform cholesterol into a new blend of steroid hormones. Among these are compounds never before seen in octopuses, 7-dehydrocholesterol and bile acid-like molecules, now detected in high concentrations as mothers begin to fast and decline. These hormones do more than just suppress appetite. They reshape metabolism, shut down feeding circuits in the brain, and set off tissue breakdown throughout the body. The self-destruct program is not one fatal switch, but a cascade of molecular instructions, all orchestrated by this single, pituitary-like gland. Remove it, and the entire death spiral is erased. Leave it in place, and the countdown continues, relentless and precise, as the eggs inch closer to hatching. The moment arrives without warning. After weeks or months of silent labor, the eggs begin to stir. One by one, tiny octopuses break free from their capsules, a sudden burst of movement in a den that has known only stillness. Each hatchling is a perfect miniature, 8 arms, a pulsing mantle, chromatophores ready to flash and fade. There is no stumbling or learning to crawl. Instinct takes over. Some drift upward, caught in the currents, while others crawl away across the rocks, vanishing into the wild with no guidance or protection. The mother is still present, but she is almost unrecognizable. By now, her body is a husk. Her skin hangs loose, the colors faded to gray. Her eyes, once sharp and watchful, are cloudy and half-closed. She barely reacts as her young slip past her arms. The last of her strength is gone, spent in a final act of care. Sometimes she dies as the first hatchlings emerge. Other times, she lingers for a few hours, motionless, as the den empties around her. There is no farewell, just a quiet collapse. The end of a life that gave everything for this single moment. The ocean wastes nothing. Her body breaks down, returning nutrients to the water, even as her offspring disperse. There is no post-hatch parenting, no reunion. The new generation is entirely on its own. For a brief instant, the den is crowded with possibility. Then, as quickly as it began, the nursery empties. The mother's story is over, but her legacy scatters into the dark, countless lives beginning as her life fades away. In the cold, silent depths of Monterey Canyon, a single octopus mother began a vigil that would rewrite what scientists thought possible. In May 2007, researchers from the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute piloting a remotely operated vehicle spotted a Granellodon boreopacifica nestled against a rocky outcrop, her pale arms wrapped tightly around a clutch of eggs. The water around her hovered just above freezing, barely 3 degrees Celsius. On the next dive, a month later, she was still there. Astonishingly, month after month and year after year, she remained in exactly the same spot. Across 53 months, 4.5 years, she never left her eggs. She never hunted, not once. Her skin faded from deep purple to ghostly white. Wounds appeared along her arms, and her body shrank before the eyes of the scientists who returned to check on her. Bruce Robertson, the chief field researcher, described the visits as both heartbreaking and mesmerizing. Each time they descended, she was still alive, still holding her position even as her strength ebbed away. No other animal has been recorded brooding eggs for so long. Most octopuses endure weeks or months without food. This deep-sea mother endured more than 1,600 days. The canyon around her was dark, cold, and relentless, but she never abandoned her post. When the eggs finally hatched, she was gone, her body spent, her watch complete. For the scientists who witnessed it, the scale of her sacrifice was almost impossible to grasp. The story of this single mother became a symbol of the extreme lengths octopus mothers will go to for the next generation, even as it costs them everything. Every octopus hatchling faces a world stacked against survival. In shallow waters, a single mother might release 50,000 eggs, but less than 1 in 1,000 will ever reach adulthood. Most are swept away as plankton, picked off by predators, or lost to starvation within days. The odds are so harsh that the only way for the species to persist is through overwhelming numbers, one massive gamble all at once. This is why octopuses evolved to go all in on a single reproductive event. There is no advantage in saving energy for a second round when the chances of any offspring surviving are already so slim. The mother's sacrifice is not just tragic, it is the most efficient way to keep her lineage alive in a hostile ocean. By pouring every resource into protecting and nurturing one enormous brood, she gives her young the best possible start, even if almost all will vanish before their first year. Males are caught in this same evolutionary logic. After mating, a male octopus enters his own decline. He stops eating, grows sluggish, and soon dies, sometimes even before the female's vigil is over. There is no lingering partnership, no second chance. Both parents are wired for a single, all-consuming shot at reproduction. The brutality of this system is matched only by its effectiveness. In a world where survival is a numbers game, the only way to win is to bet everything on one final, desperate hand. Right now, octopus populations face mounting threats from overfishing and climate change, pressures their fragile, one-shot life cycle cannot absorb. With only a tiny fraction of hatchlings reaching adulthood, every lost brood echoes louder. Their fate reminds us, evolution's most radical strategies offer no safety net. In a world changing faster than biology can adapt, survival is never guaranteed. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts below.